Hang on a sec. What's this we've found down the back of the couch? Well, looks like a bonus episode of the Couple of Blokes podcast. With huge thanks to our mates at the E&S Trading Clearance Centre. They're in Dandenong Road, Clayton, just opposite IKEA. But now, let's sit back and see what Ox and Marko are banging on about today.
Well, don't worry about Anzac Day. That's big. We've known it's big for ages. But what's got legs, and it's been taken off probably the last 4 or 5 years, is Anzac Day Eve with Richmond and the D's. I'm not sure whether, listener, you've been to this game, but when the lights go up everybody's iPhone and then all of a sudden the music plays and the lights go down from the MGG, it is spine-tingling stuff, and congratulations to the Tigers and the D's for what they've achieved. Ox, as a former D, you'd almost miss playing in that day, wouldn't you?
Oh, I would have loved it. And I think we can't forget what Anzac Day is all about. And I think what footy has been able to do is link our history and what happened at Gallipoli, nearly 100 years ago. It just reinforces the lucky country that we're in and those that sacrificed for us. I think footy links that really well. And a lot of kids who probably don't learn it at school or don't appreciate it when they're at school, I think they appreciate everything that the game does. Brings the diggers in. On the Anzac Eve game, the horses go around, and as you said, the stadium lights go off, and it's just a time of remembrance. And I've been to a lot of the Anzac Eve games, and I still think it's one of the best days of the year. I've only been to one Anzac Day game, and I think that is a mighty day. There's a lot of non-Essendon, non-Collingwood people there, and I think footy brings and understands and lets us enjoy what history was. And whilst it was traumatic and horrendous for a lot of people, we can now celebrate it as a country, and footy is a very, very small part of that.
Yeah, the AFL and probably the NRL as well, they get whacked a lot. They get whacked an awful lot because so many people are invested. But for this one, they've turned a holiday that not many people like you and me didn't know much about. They've turned it into our most important day of the year in this country. So to the AFL and the NRL, congratulations for what you've done. You've educated and you've highlighted something very, very special that we should all give thanks for, and that is people who put their lives down for us.
I think Kevin Sheedy needs a big pat on the back for that too, because he was the instigator many, many years ago, and we now get to see an amazing 2 days.
Yep.
And the first game, Richmond versus Melbourne, the players represent the clubs and they represent the league in what it's going to be an amazing game. And just on the game itself, the Tigers, they were awful against West Coast last week, and Melbourne really battled against Brisbane Lions. So I think Melbourne come in heavy favourites, and so they should. Richmond's injury list is just horrendous at the moment. I can't see Richmond beating Melbourne. I think Melbourne will come out firing and should whack the Tigers. But Adamuzde up against his old team, I'd be interested to see how he goes. I'm a huge fan of Adamuzde, and I think he's on the right path with the Richmond Footy Club.
They'd want to respond after the West Coast game, though, surely, Richmond. So they'll have a red-hot crack, though.
Yeah, they will. And a bit like when Collingwood and Essendon play on Anzac Day, it doesn't matter where they are on the ladder. There's a lot of an emotion, and there's a lot of, there's just a lot of feeling within the game itself. So, we've seen huge upsets before on Anzac Day. Even Essendon, who was sitting seventh, Collingwood was sitting 10th. Collingwood are the favourites, but it's a flip of the coin game. When emotion comes into it, if you're 5% off, you get beaten. If you're 5% up, you win. So that's what footy's about, and celebrating and remembering Anzac Day and what it means, I think just carries a little bit more emotion than what any other game would throughout the season.
Well, I reckon the D's are going to win. You?
Yeah, I got the D's winning by 5 goals.
Okay, the Bombers and the Pays. What do you see?
I think the Pies win just on talent. I can't believe Essendon is sitting 7th. I really can't. They've won 4 games. I don't know how. I think, the young kids are good. Brad Scott seriously has got them going. They've got belief. they were a bit lucky to win last week against the Crows. I thought Scotty Draper was interesting. I'll tip Collingwood just for you, Marko. I'll tip you guys by a couple of goals. Oh, actually, you might win by under a kick.
What about the Essendon Edge? Sure, that'll get us over the line.
That'll get us across the line. Okay, all right. I've known Marko a bit longer, so I'll go over the Pies.
The Giants are taking on Brizzy as well. Big game.
That's a big game, isn't it?
It's big.
That's a huge game. I think the Giants went up there. Brisbane have been really disappointing. Really disappointing. I think Sam Taylor's back this week. Depends on Jesse Hogan and Toby Green.
Yep.
So let's see how they go at the tribunal tonight. If they get off or if they're battling. But if those two are playing, I'll tip the Giants. If they're not playing, I'll tip the Brisbane Lions.
Port and St Kilda.
Port in an absolute gallop.
The Roos, who are
awful,
hard to watch, and the Crows.
The good commentators get the good games. I'll be doing this one. So looking forward. Really looking forward to this big blockbuster. I'm going to tip the Adelaide Crows by a fair bit. North Melbourne massively rebuilding and a long way from it.
I know you can't point to one incident in the game and say that cost us him the game, but geez, the Crows have had some bad calls.
Oh, have they? What?
They really have.
They're stiff.
I'm not going to say I'm not enjoying it because they get a fair run. They'll be right. They'll be okay.
All right, Cats Carlton, another big game.
Yeah,
this is huge. Like this is. Did you think Geelong would be going to be anywhere near the top of the ladder at round 7 at the start of the season?
No, I didn't. But I do know that of all the teams that they have beaten this year, those teams have only got 9 wins between them. So, of the 6 opponents they've had, they've only got 9 wins between them. So they haven't had the toughest draw going forward.
Oh, good stat.
No. Well, they beat Brisbane up there. You know they're going to be good. I like Geelong. I think they've got a really good balance on their list. This game's at the MCG, not down at home, which is a little bit of a negative for them. But no, I'll tip the Cats, but with no confidence.
Dockers and the Doggies.
I hate the Dockers. I don't like them. Too flaky, and I think when the Western Bulldogs play well, they're very, very hard to beat. They move the ball really well. Thought their game last week was outstanding. So I'll take the Dogs in that one.
Okay, back in a second, we will look at the Sunday games. Sunday, Suns and Weagles.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to the West Coast Eagles, but I don't know if Harley Reid's having that much of an influence. But gee, to win 2 games, I thought they were the most pathetic team I'd seen in a long time. Suns. I think they're better. They're better list. They're better organised. I think they'll beat the West Coast Eagles. I think the Eagles at home are good. Away from home, they're nowhere near as potent. So the Gold Coast Suns for me.
Ox, you made a comment a couple of weeks ago. You said in 3 years, Harley Reid will be the highest player in the league. And I remember thinking at the time, I didn't say it to you because it would have been rude, but I remember thinking at the time, I don't know about that. But having watched him now, he is mind-blowingly good. Incredibly good.
They'll talk. Yeah, I was listening to Triple M on Saturday, and they were talking about if you could have Nick Dacos right now, we could take Harley Reid right now for the next 10 years. Who do you take? 5 out of 6 took Harley Reid.
Who took Dakes? Was he a Collingwood supporter?
Dale Thomas.
Well, who would you guys take? Who would you take?
I'd take Dakes. But I'm a Collingwood supporter.
I take Harley Reid. Dacos is a wonderful player, but this kid, they don't come around often. Cousins, Judd, Bonampelli, Cripps,
Yep.
Petrarca. They're rare, like really rare. He's that style, and Nat Fyfe in his heyday.
Yep.
We're talking about the elite of the elite. This kid is bloody good.
Did you see the Harley Reid bump off on Nat Fyfe on the weekend?
Yep.
Yeah, loved it.
It was great.
Loved it.
Yeah, the stiff arm. And last game, Hawks taking on the Swans.
They can't beat Sydney. If they beat Sydney, well done to Sam Mitchell, but they cannot beat Sydney. I think Sydney beat them and wipe them off the floor.
Hey, just the last question. Our old mate Mark Robinson in the Herald Sun, in his likes and dislikes this week, he put in there that he didn't like all the tighter breaks this season. So many teams have had 5-day breaks followed by a 6-day break. He's suggesting, and many others are suggesting, that this is one of the reasons why the injuries are stacking up this early in the season. I just wouldn't mind your view on that, being an ex-player, Ox, on whether how important, a couple of 5-day breaks in a row followed by a 6-day break. I know the Saints played 3 games in about 11 days there at one stage. What do you make of it all?
So the average player runs about 12 to 14 Ks. Melbourne played 3 games in 13 days. Adelaide played 3 games in 11 days. So they're basically running 42 Ks in 2 weeks. That's without any training, without any other running at all. So they could be doing 60 or 70 Ks. It's not enough time to recover. It just clearly isn't. I watched Marshall from St Kilda trying to run last week. He couldn't move.
Yeah.
And same as the Melbourne players. So you need recovery. I think round zero, I should say, just stuffed everything up. They will never do that again. I think that was the biggest stuff up they've had in a long time, and that was to counteract the NRL going to Vegas. It became a bit of an issue, and they thought they'll try and capitalise and play some games and get eyes on the screens. But I think what it's done, it's really knocked the players around.
We always look at the start of the year and go, I think this team will win, or that team will probably win, or whatever it is. 6 rounds in, who wins from here?
Look, I think Carlton. If they get everything right, I think their midfield's brutal. I think their forward line is better than anyone else. Their back line still has some issues, but if you win it out of the midfield and you get it inside taking 50, you're going to score. I saw it live the other day. GWS's handball game was outstanding in the first half. Carlton hung with them, and then they just said, right, we'll get it inside and we'll let Mackay and Curnow and DeConey go to work. I think they kicked 5 or 6 goals in that quarter between those 3. If they do that every week, look out. No side will be able to get near them. And God forbid.
You're reading my mind.
God forbid Carlton win a flag.
Yeah, you're reading my mind.
If they do, let's just head off to Noosa for October, November, and come back in December when life was calm down a bit.
So I asked you boys this question at the start of the year. Ox, you said Collingwood at the start of the year. You're now saying Carlton if they get everything right, and Marko at the start of the year you said Brisbane. Who are you saying now?
No, I'm not. I think Brisbane have shown their cards. I'm not sure how they're going to get back in action, especially when you lose games at the Gabba. That's something they hadn't done for a long time. That's a bit of an issue as far as I'm concerned. I think it's going to be a Collingwood-Carlton grand final.
Oof, wow. Jeez.
And that's scary to me because you can't enjoy that game if you're a Collingwood or Carlton supporter. That grand final is unenjoyable. And for the winner, just massive relief. And for the loser, great shame. It's the only way that grand final plays out if you're a Carlton or a Collingwood supporter. So I'm kind of not looking forward to it.
So you've still got to answer the question, who wins?
Collingwood, back to back.
The funny thing is, there's one game I cannot wait for, which is Queen's birthday, Monday the 10th of June.
Collingwood days.
At the MCG. It's Collingwood home. It's Collingwood's home ground. I know Anzac Day's a big day, but Queen's birthday for Melbourne, I think, is our biggest day. And, God, if you guys are up in the 8 and we're up in the 8, it's going to be on.
Well, I'm happy for you to play in the Queen's birthday game. We'll play in the King's Day and we will knock you off.
Thanks, boys.
See you, boys.
And thanks for listening to the Couple of Blokes podcast with Ox and Marko. And if you get a chance to share it with a friend, that'd be fantastic. Massive thanks to the team at the ENS Trading Clearance Centre in Clayton on Dandenong Road. And if you're not in Melbourne, you can check them out online. Some massive savings. Couple of Blokes executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media, and sound design from Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com. We'll see you next time.